Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde, and happy Black History Month, Canada. You can do it better than this. Happy Black History Month, Canada. That's more like it. It is so wonderful to see you all here this evening. Thank you for that very kind introduction, Cassandra. Thank you to Elder Commanda for that beautiful ceremony and blessing. I also want to thank all the wonderful performances here today. Have you guys been enjoying the wonderful performances that have been taking place? I want to give a special shout out to DJ Candy, the Pan Fantasy Steel Band, Kevin, Sugarcane, and the Leading Ladies Canada Youth Choir. Thank you for sharing your passion, your talents, with all of us this evening. Let's give them another round of applause for the wonderful artists that have been here presenting in front of all of us. You know, I have to say, it is absolutely incredible to be here this evening to celebrate the Black History Month Gala with all of you. And I have to say, looking around the room, I am so inspired by the remarkable, noteworthy, and talented Canadians who have traveled from across the country to be here with us, to celebrate with us. And as many of you already know, this year's theme for Black History Month is Black Legacy and Leadership, celebrating Canadian history and uplifting future generations. And throughout the month of February and all year round, we are celebrating the diverse culture, heritage, and achievements of Black Canadians. We're celebrating the Black leaders and trailblazers, many of whom that are here in this room, who play such a critical role in shaping the country we know and love. And we are celebrating the fact that Black history is Canadian history. But this year's theme isn't just about celebrating the past. It's also about working towards a future that is more inclusive and more equitable for all Canadians. And that's the future our government has been working towards, alongside Black communities, alongside all of you, from coast to coast to coast. That's why in 2018, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, Canada became the first Western country in the world to recognize the UN Decade for the people of African descent. But we knew that words alone weren't enough. We needed to take concrete investments and actions. So we started working hand in hand with the community so that together we can deliver Black-made, Black-led solutions for the community. That's right. We invested more than $200 million for the first Black philanthropic endowment fund to empower Black non-for-profits. We also committed $454 million for the Black Entrepreneurship Fund that is changing the landscape for Black businesses from coast to coast to coast. And I know many of the people and businesses that have taken advantage of this are here today. We've also put forward more than $236 million for the Supporting Black Canadians Communities Initiative. This is a funding that is Black-led, Black-focused, and supporting grassroots organizations in communities right across this country. And of course, that's right, give it up for SBCCI. I know you guys are here. And of course, that's why we invested and partnered with CAFCAN to establish Canada's first ever National Institute for the People of African Descent. And as my colleague Ariel alluded to earlier, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, our incredible team, the Liberal Black Caucus, and the many of the allies and members of Parliament that are here today, and so many advocates and champions who are here this evening, our government has committed over $1 billion for Black communities in Canada. That's $1 billion for you working with the community. tell you, since day one, we have been absolutely clear. Our government will always be there, working alongside Black communities to combat systemic anti-Black racism and hate, improve social, health, and economic outcomes, and to advance justice reforms across the country. But make no mistake, right now, in 2025, these investments and that brighter future, the more inclusive future we are all trying to build, is at risk. Around the world, we're seeing conservative politicians attacking the progressive policies and progress that we have achieved. And I'll tell you, it's happening right here in Canada as well. And I'll be blunt, because a lot of it is at stake. We've seen what conservatives and Pierre Poilievre calls diverse and inclusive programming. The very programs that I talked about that have been created and delivered in partnership with the Black communities, programs like the Black Entrepreneurship Fund, Pierre Poilievre calls it garbage. And then, just a few weeks ago, Pierre Poilievre claimed that it was woke people who imported racism to Canada. Let me be very clear. That disgusting rhetoric is not how you build a more equitable future. It's not how you uplift future generations, and it's not the future that young people deserve. We cannot and we will not allow undo the progress that we have made, and our Liberal government will always keep fighting for a better and brighter future, hand in hand with the community leaders, grassroots organizations, many of whom that I know are in this room. Because I always say, diversity in Canada is a fact, but inclusion is a choice. And when we make that choice to include everyone, Canada and Canadians win. And now, it is my absolute honor to introduce someone who has made that deliberate choice from the very beginning, to include everyone and to ensure that no one is left behind. Someone who has been fighting for that better future with integrity, compassion, and empathy. Someone who each and every single day works tirelessly to improve the lives of every single Canadian. He's a person who's made that deliberate choice that our government, our cabinet, and our caucus reflect Canada's diversity. And under his vision for Canada, we extended the UN Decade for the people of African descent. And we made the over $1 billion investment for the Black community possible. Everyone, please join me in welcoming our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau.
Merci, mes amis. Bonsoir. How's everyone doing tonight? Merci, Kamal, pour ces belles paroles. Merci à Cassandra Auguste-René. Merci à Claudette Commanda pour ses beaux mots et à Kevin Aqua pour l'interprétation de notre hymne national. C'est avec tellement un grand plaisir que je me joins à vous ce soir, que je me joins aussi à tous nos collègues, particulièrement Marcy Ian, Kamal Kara, Ariel Kayabaga, et à vous tous pour souligner l'histoire, l'héritage et le leadership des communautés noires du Canada. Et il y a tellement à célébrer pour tous les Canadiens. Votre histoire, c'est l'histoire du Canada. Vos identités sont au cœur de l'identité du Canada. Au cours de notre histoire, les Canadiens issus des communautés noires se sont illustrés dans tellement d'aspects de notre société. Que ce soit le docteur Dominique Gaspard, qui, à l'aube de la Première Guerre mondiale, a suspendu ses études de médecine pour aller sauver des vies au front. Ou l'honorable Lincoln Alexander, le premier député noir à siéger à la Chambre des communes. Ou, bien sûr, Viola Desmond, qui, en défendant sa dignité, a permis une prise de conscience face à la discrimination envers les personnes noires et a été et est toujours une source d'inspiration pour nos mouvements des droits civiques. Des exemples du leadership comme ceux-là sont loin d'être choses du passé. On le voit à la Chambre des communes qui, pour la première fois, est présidée par une personne noire, l'honorable Greg Fergus. Mais on le voit aussi ici dans cette salle. Je pense à Louis-Edgar Jean-François. T'es où, mon ami? Louis-Édouard? Voilà, bravo! Louis-Edgar du groupe 3737 qui, chez moi à Montréal, accompagne et offre du soutien aux entrepreneurs noirs. Merci. Je pense à Dorothy Rowe, d'Audace au féminin. Dorothy, t'es où? OK, en arrière. Qui aide les femmes noires à prendre la place qui leur revient dans nos communautés. I also think about someone with us here tonight, my good friend, Joseph Smith. Where are you, Joseph? You stick out in a crowd. Joseph from Generation Chosen, which helps Black youth overcome mental health challenges, reach their full potential, and take a leadership role within their community and within Canadian politics. Or Russell Gross. You here tonight, Russell? Russell's here over there. I saw him earlier. From the Black Cultural Centre for Nova Scotia, a space for Black culture to shine and for all Nova Scotians to discover its richness and its depth in our history. Jan Lehman, the founder of Black Canadian Women in Action, which empowers Black women through education, community building, and advocacy. And last, but maybe most, our dear and honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, who is with us virtually, the first Black woman to be elected to the House of Commons and to become minister. You here in this room, you know of all the incredible achievements and hardships of Black Canadians in our history. But unfortunately, that's still not the case for most Canadians. Many of us have long believed in an incomplete version of our history. That's why we need your voices, your advice, your ideas, to keep our leaders accountable, to make sure everyone's idea of Canada includes all Canadians. Because to build a better future for all Canadians, we must learn from our history. We must recognize historical and ongoing discrimination. For years, the Canadian government itself was a source of discrimination. Canadian authorities spread disinformation intended to discourage Black immigration. Railway companies made Black immigrants pay a full fare instead of the reduced rate they were entitled to as settlers, and there were even attempts to outright ban their immigration, attempts that thankfully failed. I'm talking about history, but you in this room know that discrimination is unfortunately all too often still a lived reality in our country. So I'm glad to see more and more Canadians becoming aware of that, aware of anti-Black racism, of systemic discrimination, of unconscious bias. Thanks to all your work here in this room, and thanks to recent movements like Black Lives Matter. See, I deeply love Canada, but love requires honesty. If you love someone, you tell them when they mess up, because you know they can do better and they can be better. Once we recognize that Canada has played a role in discrimination, we must also recognize that Canada, therefore, has a duty to right historical wrongs and fight ongoing discrimination. You see, our government has always taken that responsibility seriously, and we've taken action. But that wouldn't have been possible without all of you. It's by relying on your knowledge and your expertise that we developed Canada's first Black justice strategy to tackle racism and discrimination within our justice system. C'est en étant à votre écoute, à l'écoute de ceux qui connaissent les vrais besoins sur le terrain, qu'on a bâti le Fonds pour la santé mentale des communautés noires qui s'attaque aux inégalités de l'accès aux soins de santé mentale. C'est en travaillant de près avec les entrepreneurs et les organisations issues des communautés noires qu'on a mis en place le programme pour l'entrepreneuriat des communautés noires, l'initiative Appuyer les communautés noires du Canada et le fonds de dotation philanthropique dirigé par les Noirs. C'est des programmes qui appuient des organismes, des initiatives et des entreprises dirigés par les communautés noires pour les aider à surmonter les obstacles à leur succès et s'assurer que les voix des personnes noires sont entendues quand on développe des programmes ou des politiques publiques. Vous avez rendu ça possible grâce à votre ouverture en invitant mes collègues et moi dans vos entreprises, vos organisations et vos maisons pour échanger, pour partager vos réalités. Yes, those are all parts of our government's record, but above all, that is your record as a Black community that stepped up, that pushed for change, and that delivered it, not just through this government, but right across the country. And of course, as we all know, there's so much more work to be done. As such, Canada is proud to co-sponsor the second International Decade for People of African Descent, which will give us more opportunities to celebrate the heritage, cultures, and achievements of people of African descent, and to think about everything that still needs to be achieved to put an end to racism and discrimination. I have to admit, my friends, I'm a little bit emotional tonight. One of the things that comes with knowing that you're on a countdown clock to your last day means you get to be really ruthless about the things you want to do and the things that you don't want to do. And let me tell you, if I am here tonight with you all, it's because, man, oh man, did I want to see you guys to celebrate one last Black History Month as Prime Minister. It has been the honor and the pleasure of my life to work alongside you, to be there with you, to learn from you, to grow with you, and to count especially on incredible Black MPs and Black members of staff and team who have been incredible in being voices for this community from coast to coast to coast, lifting you up and making sure this government did better. My God, the privilege that I've had of serving these past 9.5 years, serving all Canadians, but particularly serving this community, is one that I will never, ever forget. It has been the joy of my life. It has been a deep privilege to call you all friends. And to recognize that there is still so much work for you all to do. And I'm going to be on a beach somewhere, right? Oh, no, I'll still be around, but there is work to do to continue to raise each other up, to make sure Canadians see each other, truly see the extraordinary, rich diversity of this country, not take for granted that diversity makes us stronger, but knows that every single day we have to stand up for it, we have to fight for it, we have to remember what's worth fighting for. That's something that all Canadians should strive for, because when we help our fellow Canadians reach their full potential, we all benefit. When Black businesses succeed, our whole country succeeds. When Black organizations succeed, our communities become stronger. When we empower Black youth, our future becomes brighter for everyone. When Black Canadians succeed, Canada succeeds. That's what brings us together tonight, my friends, and that's why we can be so optimistic about the future we will continue to build together. Happy Black History Month. Bon mois de l'histoire des Noirs. Thank you all. Merci, mes chers amis.